I never thought a single missed bus could change everything. It was a Monday morning, rainy and gray, the kind that makes the world feel sluggish. I was late for work, again, running through puddles, hair plastered to my forehead, umbrella inverted by the wind. When I finally arrived at the bus stop, I realized my bus had just pulled away. I groaned and slumped against the metal railing, watching the red taillights fade down the street. That's when I noticed him. He was sitting on the bench under the awning, notebook in hand, completely dry despite the rain. He looked up at me and smiled politely, a small, unassuming gesture, but it felt like it had been meant only for me. I blinked, embarrassed by how suddenly it made my day feel lighter. "Rough morning?" he asked. His voice was calm, steady, reassuring in a way that made me want to tell him my whole life story right then. I laughed, because what else could I do? "You have no idea." His name was James. He worked at a nearby library, he said, and came to the bus stop every morning, rain or shine. We talked briefly while waiting for the next bus, small talk at first, the weather, the city, his love for old books. But by the time the bus arrived, I realized I didn't want the conversation to end. Over the next few weeks, we kept running into each other at the bus stop. Sometimes he was early, sometimes I was late. Sometimes we didn't speak at all. But the rhythm of those meetings became something I looked forward to, a quiet anticipation that made the gray mornings brighter. One day, he asked if I wanted to join him for coffee at the cafe across the street. It wasn't a grand gesture, just a cup of coffee, but I felt my chest tighten with unexpected excitement. We talked for hours that morning, sharing stories, laughing at small absurdities, discovering details about each other that felt like little treasures. James had a way of listening that made me feel seen, really seen. He never rushed, never interrupted, never tried to change the subject when I hesitated over words. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, I started noticing him everywhere, not just at the bus stop, but in the quiet spaces of my mind, in the little moments of my day. We started spending more time together outside of the bus stop, visiting the library, wandering through the city parks, exploring bookstores I hadn't known existed. One evening, we found ourselves sitting on a bench in the park as the sun dipped below the skyline. "I feel like I've known you longer than I have," he said softly. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to say it back. But I was cautious. I had been hurt before, and part of me was afraid of letting someone in, even someone who seemed to understand me so completely. Time, though, has a way of dismantling walls you didn't realize were still standing. Our relationship didn't begin with fireworks or dramatic declarations. It began with ordinary mornings, shared coffees, and the quiet knowledge that we had each found a kindred spirit. There were disagreements, of course, misunderstandings, moments of doubt, but every conflict was followed by conversation, every distance bridged by the simple fact that we wanted each other in our lives. The love that grew between us was patient, deliberate, and gentle, a love that didn't demand perfection, but thrived on understanding. 6 months after our first meeting at the bus stop, James invited me to an evening walk along the river. It was a clear night, stars mirrored in the water, and the city lights flickering like distant fireflies. He stopped, turned to me, and took my hands in his. "I don't want to imagine my life without you," he said. "Will you stay?" I didn't hesitate. I felt the answer in every quiet morning, every shared laugh, every conversation that stretched into the night. "Yes," I whispered. Years later, we still walk along that river. We have a small apartment filled with books, plants, and memories of ordinary moments that became extraordinary simply because we shared them. Our love isn't a whirlwind, nor is it marked by dramatic gestures. It's in the way he makes me coffee, the way I leave notes for him on the fridge, the gentle comfort of knowing someone will always be there. I never thought a missed bus could change everything, but it did. It brought me to him, to a love I didn't know I was capable of, quiet, steady, and enduring. A love that arrived when I least expected it, and stayed, long enough for me to finally understand what it truly means to belong.